Hi, I'm Stephanie Ricca, here today with Peter Strebel, President of Omni Hotels and Resorts. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Great to be here.
So just a few months ago, you were named President of Omni, a company you've been with for many years,
Yes.
but now in a new role. Talk a little bit about the perspective that you bring to this new role at the company.
Great. Well, my background really has always been in sales and marketing. So I think the perspective I'm going to bring to the company is really one of the customer. I think that everything we need to do starts with the customer, it ends with the customer. So I try to make sure that all of the disciplines in the business, whether it be sales and marketing or operations or revenue management, we really take a look at what the customer wants and what the customer needs. So I think that's probably the biggest difference with my leadership here at Omni today.
So in the last year, Omni's had a lot of highlights. Recently broke ground in Boston. A few months ago opened a brand new hotel in Louisville, Kentucky. From your perspective, what have been some of the highlights from the last year or so?
I think the groundbreaking in Boston is really a big milestone for Omni. Myself, I'm from the Northeast, so I have roots in the Boston area. My daughter went to college there, I have relatives who live there, and just opening a hotel in that dynamic city is just going to be really exciting for Omni Hotels and Resorts. It's a #1 market. It's an underserved convention city right now. There hasn't been any, there's been a lot of new hotels opening in Boston, but none of the scale and size that we're building. So I just think it's so exciting to be in one of these growing cities in America, in the Northeast, and having the #1 hotel in that city. So we're really thrilled about Boston.
So let's talk a little bit more about growth and development and pipeline for Omni. These are big hotels.
Right.
These aren't hotels that spring up in a year and go on every street corner. What's in the future? What are you looking at in the next 3 years and then in the next 5 years and so on?
Well, our growth really is, we feel we excel in two areas, and one is the convention market. We have hotels that do very well in cities like Nashville and Atlanta, and now in Louisville and Fort Worth and Dallas. So we are looking at other cities that need convention hotels. So for example, we're working right now with the city of New Orleans to build a hotel in New Orleans on the other side of the convention center. It'd be a 1,200 room hotel in New Orleans. We were named as the brand in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, building another convention hotel, an 800 room convention hotel at their convention center there in Fort Lauderdale. We're working on other deals in other cities like Indianapolis. Kind of got our place in a lot of cities that are looking for some new development in the convention space. So that's primarily where you're going to see our focus is in these big box convention hotels. Again, we've been very successful with them. And then we also are really specialized in resorts. So a lot of our resorts today we're actually enhancing and redeveloping. So for example, our hotel in Barton Creek, which is a suburb of Austin, we closed that hotel this year and we're going to reopen it in a year and a half, and it's basically going to be about twice the size of it was and completely reinvented to be a true Texas golf resort. So very exciting about that. Our property in La Costa, California, we're adding meeting space, adding another ballroom there. So we're really continually taking a look at our properties and how to reinvest and make them better than what they are. Another property going through a big transition is going to be our resort in Mount Washington, New Hampshire. We're adding guest rooms there. We're adding high-speed ski lifts there. We're adding a restaurant on the top of the mountain. So a lot of dollars are going into our resorts as well as building new convention hotels.
So you have an interesting perspective on that group business piece of the industry. What's your overall take? We hear a lot of different things from the last 12 months about how group business is trending, but you wouldn't be building these properties and expanding them if there wasn't viability in it. So tell me your big picture look at group business.
We believe group business is the future. I think as technology has gotten more widespread, there's more of a need for people to get together face to face. And if you really look at the hotel development out there, it's mostly happening in the limited services space with limited meeting space. So we feel there's a significant need still for meetings and conventions. So we're one of the few people out there really building these big hotels with massive ballrooms and massive meeting space. So we're very bullish on that. And we've seen as we've opened these new hotels, I mean, Louisville right out of the gates is selling out every night. It's amazing. There's so much pent-up demand in that market. Because if you think about it, the last time a really new big box hotel opened up in Louisville was a long, long time ago. Same thing in Boston. I mean, Boston's had huge hotel growth, but really the last hotels have been more 300-400 room hotels, limited meeting space. I mean, the last major convention hotels that were built in Boston probably was in the 80s. So, we see that there's just humongous opportunity in these group hotels.
Especially when you talk about pent-up demand like that, when it's been so long for some of these cities.
We just opened up the bookings in Boston, and already we're just getting signed contracts from groups that wanted to come to Boston, but they didn't have the right hotel mix to be able to go to Boston, because in that Seaport area you had the Westin, and then you have a few other smaller hotels, but there really wasn't enough density to get 3,000 rooms on peak. And so a lot of these conventions that we're not considering Boston now are.
So let's close. I want to close by asking your perspective on overall U.S. hotel industry health as a whole. When you're looking at that group business picture, as your strategy is for Omni, you do see a lot of other influences. You're looking at convention business, things that are driving that traffic. What other big trends do you think are influencing the U.S. hotel industry today?
Well, I think I think number one, there is an increase in supply. So I think the demand is still growing, which is great because Americans and Europeans and international people want to travel. I think travel is no longer a luxury, it's kind of like a rite of passage. So I think the demand is going to keep increasing. I think right now we're still growing. We're not growing as fast as we were, and that's because of the new supply. But I think the hotel business is just going to keep getting better and better. I mean, the economy of the United States is getting stronger. The jobless rate is almost down to nothing. People are traveling. The leisure business is very strong. If we don't have a group in one of our hotels, we generally sell out with leisure business on weekends. So I think the business is really strong. And I see just tremendous positive energy going forward.
It's a great note to end on. Thanks so much, Peter.
Great. Thank you.